Hi, hello. My name is Gomer Joseph. I hope you've all been having a great day so far. Welcome back to another True Crime Tuesdays video. If you are new, I welcome you. Before I discuss today's case, I'd like to mention my Christian suspense book series, Never As It Seems. The first book in the series is available on Amazon, and you can read it on any device on the Kindle app for free. Not only that, but I do have another book series, which is the Juliet Clark book series, which is about a Haitian American teen sleuth who happens to be a successful true crime YouTuber. The first book in this series is titled Murderer at Heart. The links will be in the description box below if you're interested. Today, I'll be discussing the solved murder of Maurizio Gucci. Let me tell you, researching this case felt like I was watching a whole soap opera, and I like soap operas. Before the House of Gucci movie came out, I didn't know about this case at all. Now, I didn't watch the movie, but I would assume that there was a whole lot of drama in it since this case entails a whole lot of drama, and I can see why the Gucci family never approved for this movie to be released because there was a lot to unpack. This case is filled with plenty of shocking twists, and it's just overall a hot ghetto mess. Now, I encourage you all to do your own research with this case and not to just look at my video for all of the information. Here we go. Maurizio Gucci was born on September 26, 1948 in Florence, Italy to parents Rodolfo Gucci and Sandra Ravel Gucci, who sadly passed away when Maurizio was 5 years old in 1954 due to uterine cancer. Now, both of Maurizio's parents, when they were both alive, they were actors, but before Sandra did pass away, Rodolfo did take over his father, Guccio Gucci's fashion business after Guccio passed in 1953. Now, Maurizio, he was the only child, and of course, because of his mother's death, it would make sense why his childhood was filled with sorrow and even loneliness. Maurizio was known as a shy child, and Rodolfo was very protective of his son. As Maurizio grew up, he eventually met a woman named Patrizia, I hope I'm saying this right, Reggiani, who was actually a product of an affair. Her mother was a maid, and the father was pretty wealthy, so that child support check came in handy. So Rodolfo and even the rest of the Gucci family didn't approve of this relationship, mostly because he felt like Patricia only wanted Maurizio for his wealth. Despite his father's worries, Maurizio married Patricia in 1972, causing there to be a strain in the family where even Rodolfo wouldn't even speak to his child for months, which, I mean, I understand, you don't want your son to marry this woman who you feel like, you know, could be a type of danger to your family, but again, your son is a grown man who can decide to marry who he wants to marry, and I don't think there should be any reason to give your son, your only son, the silent treatment. But that's just my thoughts on it. But you know what? As Maurizio and Patrizia were married, Maurizio was still pretty shy, but Patrizia made sure to change all of that, getting him involved with social gatherings with other wealthy people in order to help him climb the corporate ladder. Because of his wife's, encouragement and influence, Maurizio was able to turn himself around from this shy, quiet kid to this charismatic and charming man. Now, Rodolfo's brother Aldo was living in New York, where he pretty much trained Maurizio how to run the Gucci business. Patricia would also give birth to Maurizio's daughters, Allegra and Alessandra. Now, the Gucci business was booming, so Maurizio and Patricia were enjoying their growing wealth. Soon enough, Patricia would try to tell Maurizio how to run the business once Rodolfo passed away in 1983. Now, Maurizio inherited his father's shares, which led him to become the majority stakeholder in the Gucci business, pretty much making him the Gucci in charge. As he gained this type of power, Tension grew in the family once again. So Uncle Aldo accused Maurizio of forging his father Rodolfo's signature to avoid paying more taxes. And if that were true, then how are you going to be a billionaire and not pay your taxes? But anyway, let me not ramble. The police got involved and Maurizio fled to Switzerland. Somehow, I guess he still had to go to court and was found guilty of tax evasion but was acquitted. In 1988, Maurizio sold 48% of the Gucci company to a company called Investicorp, making the family very upset. And I can understand that because, his grandfather built the company from the ground up. And, that's something that you just don't sell away to these corporate, corporate companies. I feel like I just screwed that up, but you just don't just go ahead and just give away. It's like a legacy, like giving away a legacy. So even Uncle Aldo was angry. Like he did not let this go. He was angry till his death in 1990. So while it seemed like the Gucci family was falling apart, Maurizio and Patrizia's marriage seemed to be falling apart as well when Maurizio got involved with this woman named Cherie Loud. So in 1985, a few years before the business decision that tore the Gucci family apart, Maurizio told Patrizia that he was going on a business trip, but he never came back home. So Maurizio had made a punk move by asking his friend to tell Patricia the next day that he wasn't coming back, and Patricia became very upset, not even allowing Maurizio to see the girls. So the divorce would be final in 1994, but Maurizio was no longer with Cherie, who didn't want to be involved with the drama that Maurizio got himself involved with, with Patricia. So he would later get involved with Paola Franchi. Patricia's anger would grow when Maurizio wouldn't even visit her in the hospital after getting a benign tumor removed. So, not being comforted by her husband, she was comforted by a close friend named Pina. I don't know if I'm even going to say this last name right. Arima. So Maurizio didn't seem to be doing good for the Gucci brand, so he had no choice but to completely sell the rest of the company to Investcorp in 1993. On March 27th, 1995, it was like any other day for Maurizio. He arrived at the hotel where his office was for work, and in broad daylight, he was unexpectedly shot multiple times. Within minutes, everyone heard about the shooting and a whole crowd stood outside of the hotel. So after Maurizio's death, Patricia, instead of taking that time to comfort her daughters who had just lost their father in the most unexpected, brutal way, she did not waste any time but to throw Paola, who was Maurizio's fiance, I believe at this point, she threw that woman out of Maurizio's apartment, where the will stated that Maurizio's daughters would get the apartment after his death. Now, of course, the police in Italy have this investigation on their hands, especially with somebody as big as Maurizio Gucci. And since Maurizio was a Gucci, investigators look into the family and those involved with the business. So not only did they look at this family, but they also had other suspects in mind. There was this alleged terrorist named Delphi Zorzi who loaned Maurizio $40 million, but later on he was cleared. And like I said before, the rest of the Gucci family was questioned, but police found that the family beef was squashed anyway. Now, you got this alleged terrorist who's in the clear. You got the Gucci family who's in the clear. So all the police have to look at was Patricia, which I don't really understand. Like, from what I gathered, it didn't seem like they looked at Patricia first, but or maybe I'm wrong, unless all of that was just all scrambled along. But anyway, eventually they were gonna go ahead and look into Patricia. So the police discovered this angry voicemail towards Maurizio, discovering that she was asking different type of people to kill her ex-husband. So I'm going to try to make this make sense as much as I can. So police got word from someone who heard from one of the hotel clerks where Maurizio was murdered. The hotel clerk admitted that he was involved with Maurizio's death. So the only reason why the clerk confessed to this guy in particular was because this guy was known as a nobody. Still, I think it's pretty stupid on the clerk's part to confess to something so serious. Like, just because somebody doesn't really have any friends or family doesn't mean that the person wouldn't be either creeped out or just know like, whoa, there's something wrong with this person. Like, you had a hand in killing somebody who had so much influence not only in Italy but probably the rest of the world. As the police got this information, they asked this guy to become an informant. So the informant who had a wire was later introduced to a retired pizzeria owner named, I think I'm going to butcher his name too, Benedetto Carallo, and a former mechanic who were, accomplices. The pizza guy would get info on Maurizio's daily whereabouts. He got this getaway car and an escape route. When the pizza and mechanic guy made it to the hotel, they saw Maurizio enter. So the mechanic guy walked past Maurizio, turned around, then shot him. So as they talk about who hired them, they revealed that it was no other than Patricia, who was the one who ordered the hit on her ex-husband, the father of her two daughters. Not only do they admit to the murder and Patricia's role in it, but they're heard complaining about the money she paid, which was over $200,000, and were planning on blackmailing her for more. And now I can understand if you are in this financial situation, but I'm pretty sure there's other things that you can do other than killing a man and risking your livelihoods just to get some, cash. But you know what? That's not even the worst of it. What really made me clutch my pearls was when I heard that Patricia's close friend Pina, the one who comforted Patricia in the hospital after getting her tumor removed, Pina was also even there for the birth of one of Patricia's daughters. Yet she wanted to blackmail Patricia for more money too. Because this whole conversation was wired or recorded, after 2 years since the murder took place, the police got everything they needed to take everyone down. So, according to Pina, Patricia was bitter that she was losing her identity as a Gucci after the divorce, since Maurizio was gonna marry Paola. But girl, why would you just not make your own identity? Like, clearly she already has this quote unquote amazing personality. Like, you really could have done something with that. Like, look at Princess Diana. Like, she was basically, kicked to the curb from the royal house, from what I know. I mean, I wasn't born yet. But she was able to make a name for herself completely fine. And girl, you know what? Sometimes the divorce settlements can, be pretty helpful. So I'm rambling again. But girl, you didn't have to go ahead and resort to murdering the father of her daughters. Like, Pina also claims that she only introduced Patricia to the guys only to get money out of her, but not go as far as to kill anyone. I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna try to take Pina at her word for it. Like, again, like Patricia, like, she knew what she was doing by ordering a hit, but again. So the pizza guy got sentenced to life. Pina was sentenced to 25 years in prison, but she was released in 2010. So, obviously those years were reduced. So the hotel clerk, he was sentenced to 26 years, and the mechanic guy got 29 years in prison. And as for Patricia, she was found guilty of Maurizio's death, but was sentenced to 29 years in prison instead of life. but the sentence was reduced so she can get out. I mean, well, she already did get out in 2016. Honestly, I believe that every single one of them should still be serving life in prison. Like, I believe that when you conspire to kill somebody, like, you're just as guilty as a person who pulled the trigger. So I don't really understand why everybody isn't in prison for the rest of their lives. But hey, I'm not the one who makes the laws around here, so I guess I just gotta make do with what I'm given, I guess. So Patricia had her husband killed for what? Like, I get that everyone involved had a choice to make, but Maurizio wouldn't have been killed if only she wasn't living in bitterness and so consumed with the wealth her ex-husband's name gave her. Like, I'm pretty sure that her daughters want nothing to do with her since she's responsible for their father's death. This case just goes to show how crazy the love of money can make you and how evil bitterness can make you. I thank you all for taking the time any day to watch this video. If you did like this video, please feel free to hit the like button. If you'd like to go ahead and share any thoughts on this wild case, please leave your thoughts on the comment section. If you'd like to see more videos from me, please feel free to hit the subscribe button and click the bell to be notified about the next video. If there's a certain true crime case that you'd like me to cover, go ahead and let me know. I will see y'all for the next True Crime Tuesdays, and I will talk to y'all later.